The new moon in Gemini is going to be marking the start of a new cycle, a new chapter after the ingress of Uranus in Gemini. So Uranus marked the start of a new story, and this new moon marks the start of the first chapter of that story. This means that this new moon is going to be bringing the inciting incident, the call to adventure of the story Uranus in Gemini started. And what is this call to adventure? It could be a new interest, a new idea, a new desire that you are opening up to. So think about it. What new ideas have sparked in these last 2 weeks after the full moon in Sagittarius? What new desires, what new interests do you feel called to pursue? Because this will be a part of the new chapter this new moon is starting. And this new moon will be also bringing a sense of liberation. It will be representing a revolution in an area of your life. Not only because Uranus entered this sign, but because of an aspect this new moon will make. So let's break down the chart of this new moon. This new moon happens at 24 degrees Gemini, and it will be right opposite Lilith in Sagittarius. This is not the first aspect to Lilith that we've had in Gemini season, because the full moon in Sagittarius actually happened conjunct Lilith, which is why we had a micromoon. Now, this new moon is a supermoon because it happens right opposite Lilith in Sagittarius. So the illuminations of Gemini season came with an aspect to the wild feminine. So this will be calling for us to tap into our wild feminine energy in order to create the change we desire in an area of our lives. So these new ideas, these new desires that you might feel called to pursue could be something that has been repressed. And this new moon is a time to rewrite the script, rewrite the narratives that have been creating stagnation in your life. This new moon falls in the third decan of Gemini, which is represented by the Ten of Swords from the Minor Arcana. And this is when our thoughts, our beliefs about ourselves sabotage our path, create stagnation, and create the feeling of defeat. But if you see in the card, there is a new dawn happening. So it's not the end, but you really need to work through the thoughts that could be actually holding you back. That is why we're being asked to tap into our wild feminine energy, to not suppress our instincts, to not suppress our desires, by letting our thoughts and our limiting beliefs keep us in the cage that we are trying to escape from. Now Uranus will be transiting this area of our lives for the next 7 years. So it wants to create change. There is something that needs to shift in this area of our lives where we will have this new moon falling in our chart. So whatever we are starting is something that has more power than we think, because what we are starting will lead to a sense of liberation, achieving a sense of freedom that we've wanted for so long but we've suppressed. This new moon is also ruled by Mercury in Cancer, which is actually in mutual reception with the moon, because the new moon in Gemini is ruled by Mercury and the new moon rules Mercury in Cancer. So this means that our thoughts now carry a lot of emotion. And that is exactly what could be holding us back, and what could hold us back from actually achieving what this new moon wants us to start to pursue. So reflect, have your thoughts lately have been creating negative emotions, creating fear, creating resistance? Now it is the time to pay attention to them and start reframing those thoughts, because they come from limiting beliefs that the full moon in Sagittarius exposed. Because that full moon that happened after the Mars and Pluto square and Venus and Saturn square illuminated the perspectives and the beliefs that have been limiting our path. And now this new moon wants us to start following a new path. That is what is going to open new doors in our lives. But for that, we need to change our mind. That is why Mercury will be going retrograde after the new moon, because we need a change of focus, a change of direction. Because staying in the same place will lead to stagnation. And that stagnation is being created by the limiting thoughts and beliefs that we're having during this new moon after the full moon in Sagittarius. And this new moon is actually a great time to start anything that you feel called to pursue, because the ruler of this new moon, Mercury, will be aligning harmoniously with Mars in Taurus. Our thoughts are aligning with our actions. That's why they need to be positive. They need to have confidence. They need to come with empowerment so that our actions actually take us to where we want to go. So if you're starting something under this new moon, this is a great time to do so, because Mercury then will enter its retrograde shadow on June 12th. And this is also happening before July. That will come with so much energy. July truly is the peak of the new astrological era that began with Saturn and Neptune conjunct in Aries. In July is when things will start moving at a rapid pace. So what you are starting now could actually achieve momentum in July. And this is because Jupiter will enter Leo, and it will be aligning with Neptune, with Uranus, and opposing Pluto. But Uranus and Neptune will be aligning as well, and they will also be aligning with Pluto, creating an aspect pattern in the sky known as the cradle. So this could be a time of alignment, but also a lot of tension, because Jupiter will be opposite Pluto. But this tension is about the discomfort of growth, the discomfort that comes from expansion and actually defying society's expectations, defying whatever has been creating resistance in your life. But we will be supported by all of those trines and sextiles making us move, making us actually go towards what we desire. So with this new moon, tap into your wild feminine energy. Follow your instincts, your desires. What new ideas do you have that you want to take action on? And also to tap into our wild feminine energy, it's also to allow ourselves to experiment, to explore. If you feel called to pursue something but you don't know if you can commit to it, follow it anyway. For example, if you feel called to read a book, but you don't know if you can commit to reading the whole 300 pages, just read it. Just start reading it and see if it still holds your attention or if something else called you. It's not about now not being disciplined and reading and never finishing the books and starting something and not finishing the project. It's about allowing yourself to explore, to experiment, so that you can discover, so that you can align with the path that you can actually commit to. Then we will have the full moon in Capricorn. So that is when we could be recommitting to something, especially recommitting because Mercury will be stationing retrograde after that full moon. Where this new moon will transit in your chart indicates where this new chapter will begin, in which you will be called to liberate from something, step out of a state of suppression, as well as where you could be starting something that is a part of Uranus in Gemini story in this area of your life. Aries, this is about communication. You might be feeling the need to communicate something to someone or to clarify your desires, clarify your emotions. You might have been feeling a certain way, and this is now the time to journal. Let out all those emotions in your journal, and this will actually help you achieve the level of emotional clarity that you need in order to move forward. This is a great time to begin anything related to the third house. This could be content creation, starting a podcast, starting a YouTube channel, a new social media platform. So for Taurus, this new moon will be transiting your second house. So this is about starting a side income, a business, a project that could end up being lucrative, but this might pull you to reassess your finances, to audit them, to rethink how you are going when it comes to your finances, because Mercury will then be going retrograde. Gemini, this new moon will be transiting your first house of self, but it will be opposite Lilith in Sagittarius. So this new moon will be bringing changes to your relationships as you break free from anyone that has been limiting your self-expression, that has been limiting your freedom, your sense of freedom. So this new moon is also an ideal time to begin something new, because this is a personal new beginning. So it's like new chapter, new era in your life. What new interests, what new desires or new ideas do you have? This will be a part of the new era that will be starting now. So this could also bring changes to your appearance, to your looks. You might be looking forward to changing your style. Cancer, this new moon will be happening in your 12th house. So this will be about changing habits, changing routines that have been creating a negative state of mind or a disrupted nervous system. This is because this new moon will happen opposite Lilith in Sagittarius, and Lilith is in your 6th house. So Lilith is exposing the negative habits that are now affecting your emotional wellness. And this new moon is about restoring your emotional wellness and releasing what has been weighing you down, weighing your aura, your energy. This is also a great time to begin something in relation to spirituality, or to begin working on something behind the scenes. Leo, the new moon will be happening in your 11th house, and this new moon will open new doors in your life, and these new doors will come from your connections, your social circles. These new doors could be about your general goals, your hopes and wishes, but it could also be about love and romance. And this is because this new moon happens opposite Lilith in your 5th house. However, you might need to also break free from the relationships that have been thwarting your sense of freedom, or that have been limiting your self-expression, that don't truly align with your energy or with the goals you are working on. So this new moon is a time to begin something that aligns with your long-term vision. But pay attention to the romantic relationships or the friendships that don't truly align with what you envision for yourself. Virgo, this new moon will be happening in your 10th house of career and public image. However, the new moon will happen opposite Lilith. So this lunar event will bring a sense of liberation that have perhaps kept you silent, that have perhaps kept you hidden, and now it's time to break free from anything that has been creating fear in your life, where you not been believing in your potential, in your capacity to achieve what you want to achieve. Now it is a time to rewrite the narrative and begin a new story when it comes to your career and your public image. So this is an excellent time to begin a new goal, a new career goal, to begin a new business, a project that aligns with your profession. Libra, this new moon will be happening in your 9th house of higher knowledge, higher education. This is an excellent time to begin studying something new, to start taking a course, a new certification, to start college. So if you have any idea that has to do with something that you have to learn, know that it's super aligned with the energies of this new moon. And Mercury will be going retrograde in your 10th house. So this new moon could also be about rethinking your mission, rethinking your why when it comes to your career or your business. So this is a time to realign with your true career goals, but this will come with a lot of reflection, since the 9th house is the 12th house from the 10th. Scorpio, this new moon will be happening in your 8th house. This is the house of transformation, death and rebirth, but also other people's money. And the new moon will be happening opposite Lilith, which is in the house of personal resources. So this could be about breaking free from what has been keeping you stuck financially. It is about also getting rid of debt for the next 6 months, of loans. For others of you, this new moon will be an excellent time to start exploring the world of investments, but not to take uncalculated risks, like consult a financial advisors. But the eighth house is the house of investments. So maybe if you feel called to like start your finance era, this could be a good time to begin learning and studying. Sagittarius, this new moon will be happening in your seventh house of relationships. So this new chapter will come with new characters in which you will form in new relationships. You could be having new romantic prospects, or you could simply be exploring your options when it comes to your relationships. Remember, Uranus entered this area of life, so for the next 7 years, expect the unexpected when it comes to relationships. Like you could all of a sudden begin a new relationship. But for some of you, this new moon could represent a time of breaking free from a relationship that has been controlling you in some sense, that have not been also making you feel free. So this could represent a time of liberation for the next 6 months. And this is because Lilith is in your first house. So you are feeling the call to tap into your wild feminine energy. Lilith has been bringing to the surface your suppressed desires. But this new moon is an excellent time to begin new partnerships, new collaborations, and alliances that with people that align with your vision for the future. Mercury will be going retrograde in your 8th house. So this could also be about discussing, having conversations with your partner about finances. Capricorn, the new moon will be marking the start of a new cycle in your 6th house of health, work, and routine. So this will be an excellent time to begin a new health journey, a new fitness journey, to also explore and experiment. Don't force yourself to have a super detailed plan, and instead allow yourself to experiment with the exercises that you enjoy, with the meals that you will actually enjoy consuming every day. So now is the time to explore, then make the detailed plan. But this new moon is also excellent to begin cultivating a new habit that will help you achieve your health goals. If you've been wanting to like take care more of yourself, of your health, now it is the time to begin. Aquarius, this new moon will be happening in your 5th house of creativity. So this lunar event will be an excellent time to begin a new creative project. Something related to Gemini. Maybe this creative project has to do with writing, has to do with social media, content creation, creating a blog, a newsletter, something like that, where you are exploring and experimenting with your creativity. Because the opposition with Lilith indicates that this will also bring a creative liberation. Maybe you felt stuck creatively, and now it's a time to break free from those fears, from that self-doubt that have made you stay stuck in a creative sense. The 5th house is also the house of love and romance. So you will also be meeting some new characters, some new romantic prospects in this new chapter. And this will be a part of Uranus ingress to this area of life, where you could suddenly start a new romantic relationship or a new adventure. Pisces, this new moon will be happening in your 4th house of home, family, and inner world. So this is a new start when it comes to your inner life. How can you take better care of your inner life, of your home life? How can you start connecting more with your loved ones? This new moon is about marking a reset to your inner life and start paying more attention, nourishing more your inner world, but also your home and family relationships. This new moon will happen opposite Lilith in Sagittarius in your 10th house. So this is also about breaking free from what has been making you hide your voice, hide your magic. The 10th house is the house of career, public image, and that is where you have Lilith. So you might have been feeling suppressed when it comes to expressing yourself to the public. Maybe you've been feeling like the need to hide from the public. But now it is a time to break free from the thoughts that have been creating those limiting beliefs, but also breaking free from caring what other people think. This could also be about defying society's expectations, not about career. Challenging family expectations. Pursuing your own path. So if you've been wanting to create changes in your life, pay attention to your inner life. What have you been feeding it? What thoughts, what beliefs have you been feeding your inner self? Now it is a time to change that so that you can create the change that you desire.